Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Interviews with Entrepreneurs in South Africa. Today, I feel very lucky to be chatting with Kerryne who has been a role model to me for the longest time. I've followed her career for many, many years, and she just has done incredible things in the entrepreneurial space. So I feel very, very lucky to be able to introduce her to you today. So Kerryne, would you please tell us a little bit more about your business, how you started it and why you started it?
Thanks, Melanie. It's so nice to be here. And thank you for all the encouragement over the years. You've been an amazing wind beneath my wings too. So thank you for that. I stumbled upon being an entrepreneur, very long story, but at the space I found myself in when I started Eyeslices, I saw a real gap in the market. And I suppose that's where I like to always start, is where there's a gap. And I was a typical consumer for my own product that I wanted to invent. So if I had one of those big ugly cries, and I think in those days I seem to have them way more often than thankfully I do now, I would get these kind of big puffy eyes that would last for days. And even 3 days later, someone would be saying, "Shame, Kerryne, are you okay? What's wrong?" And I just thought, why on earth do I have to wear my heart on my sleeve for the whole world to see? I used to rub raw ice around my eyes, tea bags, frozen peas, you name it, and nothing worked. And I thought, come on, can't be rocket science to invent something for lifestyle kind of eye symptoms that work. And hence started the journey. Little did I know it would be rocket science to develop. So at the moment, we're actually more of a tech company, really. Stumbled upon an amazing technology at the CSIR that I developed further and developed the manufacturing processes around that can deliver any active ingredients into the skin. So we're a patch company. So we make eye patches and we make face masks, and we're busy with products for nursing moms, breast aid slices, and the technology has its application for burns and wounds as well.
Okay, that's amazing. That's amazing. Now, tell us a little bit more about the product development, because that process I have always found quite fascinating.
Yes, being a marketer, born really, I think I'm a natural marketer, and I studied a BCom marketing degree at Pretoria University. My original aim was literally to outsource the manufacturing and the product development, any of the science tech side, and then just build a global brand. That was the aim. That was the mission. I was going to build the Coca-Cola of eye patches. And unfortunately, the technology that I'd stumbled upon was incredibly technical and specialized, and even the PhD scientists that had invented the early stage or laboratory scale of the technology didn't even know how to complete the development. And I think that's what I love about entrepreneurs is we honestly believe that we can do what PhD scientists couldn't.
You've certainly proven it.
Thankfully, I didn't know that I would need a PhD science degree in order to do it. I just decided I'm going to give this a go, and I'm going to find a way to complete the development. And I remember stumbling upon, I was in a business incubator, one of those little incubators that help startup entrepreneurs and mentor them and guide them. And I remember my mentor, challenging me regularly and pushing me out of my comfort zone, and that was a good thing. But I remember around the corner, there was Sasol polymers. And I thought, well, we've got a polymer technology, so maybe they can help. So I got into my car, I drove to Sasol polymers. I walked in blind, said to the receptionist, "Can I please speak to someone about polymers?" And she was like, "What division? I mean, there's millions of different polymers. There's hundreds of different divisions." And I said to her, "Look, I don't know. I've got this one piece of paper. that I had got from licensing the technology, a laboratory recipe. I said, just send me a human, and then he hopefully, or she hopefully, can then guide me further. And as luck would have it, this gentleman called Ari Kruger was coming down the stairs at that point and said, oh, he'll help me. And he ushered me into the boardroom. And he happened to have worked at the CSIR in the early development stage of the technology. He in the polymer department. And that was really lucky. And I sat down with him and I said, look, I need to develop this technology. I need to create manufacturing processes. What do I do? Where do I go? And he said, well, the bad news is that we can't answer those questions. All the gaps in the technology, unfortunately, we didn't get to. So I said, so what do I do? He said, well, become a scientist. He said, create a controlled environment, like a little laboratory or whatever, try and control the environment temperatures and experiment till you figure it out yourself. And I literally took his advice. I converted a small room on like a small farm, small holding that I stay on. And there was this extra little kind of cottage room not being used. And I converted it into a laboratory, and I got one of those laboratory catalogs, and I paged through it. And I thought, well, I'll have one of those and a stirrer and maybe a beaker. I had no clue what I was doing. And with the polymer, you had to cook it at very specific temperatures for a very long time. And something said to me, slow cooker. So the slow cooker from my kitchen got donated to science to dissolve the polymer. And then the technology has to go through a series of freezing and thawing cycles to turn it from a liquid, like a runny honey consistency, into a solid gel patch. And everything affects it. The rate of freeze, the rate of thaw, the number of freeze-thaw cycles. Even if you change the ingredients in it, you'll get a different outcome. And I did thousands and thousands of experiments over about a year and a half until I literally figured out what affects the technology and how to get the patches to that perfect consistency. Hired an industrial freezer from low refrigeration, put it on the patio because I didn't have space inside, plugged it through the window. And like I said, I became the scientist. So it's amazing what you can do. If you set your mind to it and you're determined, you can even become the scientist.
Yes. Now, as somebody who has actually used your Eyeslices, they are bloody amazing.
Thank you.
That gel patch is just amazing, that it can go back in the fridge and you can reuse it. And then as it gets older, it dries out and becomes more solid, and then you just throw that away.
Yes.
It's right. So much nicer than cucumber slices.
Yes.
Now, in that year and a half, was there ever a time when you felt you might give up?
Oh, jeepers. And even as short as maybe 6 or 7 months ago, there have been multiple occasions. Honestly, I promise you, those early stages of development, you cross multiple chasms in tech development. And you get to this kind of chasm or this, and it's a leap somewhere, and you have it honestly looks like a solid steel wall in front of you that you think, I can't get up, over, under, or through this in any shape and form. And it's amazing when you just resolve to absolutely completely finish what you've begun, or to accomplish your dreams and say, I will die trying, but I'm not going to give up. What can actually happen? I remember with the manufacturing process, I kept looking to the cosmetic industry for my solutions. And I remember my business mentor, Shivani, saying, Kerryne, you keep approaching the problems from the same direction. She said, you've got to think laterally. To break through this chasm, you honestly have to. And she said to me, she looked at the technology and she looked at this kind of patch, and we needed a 2-year shelf life. And it's kind of, she said, it's a bit like a food. You've got to package it almost like the food industry. She said, why don't you start looking to the food industry for your solutions? And that brought an absolute breakthrough, because I went into the Igoli Bio Business Incubator Library, and I paged through some food review magazines, and there was a picture, an advert of a company that sold these kind of machines, and there were these little oval cutouts on these machines like Eyeslices, and just looking at the machine, I thought, well, maybe they can help me. And 8 o'clock the next morning, they were in the boardroom trying to see if they could help me solve the problems. And they were food industry packing machines. Okay. And they extensively modified their machinery for our application. So there were many, many moments where honestly I thought, okay, we've now, that's it. I can't go any further. Looks like I'm at the end of the road. And somehow just pushing through that extra bit and thinking laterally and creatively, cross-pollinating against industries. It's amazing. You can find your solutions. I remember a pastor saying, often I was on his staff once, and his favorite mantra was, find a way to win. You were never allowed to say no. You were never allowed to say, I can't do it, or there's no time in the day. He'd just look at you and he'd say, find a way to win. And I love that, because I really believe that there is, even if it takes long, even if it's hard, even if it costs more than you anticipated, there's always a way to win. There's always a solution, because if you can dream it and you can imagine it and you can see it in your mind's eye, it means it is possible to accomplish it. It means it can be done.
Mm-hmm. That's such an amazing message. Thank you. And I've heard you talk about being part of an incubator. Do you feel it's worthwhile for entrepreneurs to join an incubation process?
Oh, wow. Big time. You know, if I was a personal investor, and I'm sure I'll get there one day, where I in turn can invest in other entrepreneurs' businesses, I don't think I would actually invest in an entrepreneur unless they were in some kind of incubation or accountability, wise counsel situation. I mean, especially when you're using somebody else's money. And I got lots of government funding, grant funding. I've had private equity, venture capital, you name it. I have accessed all kinds of funding over the years. And, you know, when you're spending somebody else's money, you are definitely a little bit more laxadays than, and kind of, you're not as careful as if you were spending your own money. And I remember, and also just the zeal, you know, as an entrepreneur, you're going, oh, I just want to get it done. I just want to go. I just want to go. And I remember we were given, I think it was 150,000 Rand grant as we came into the incubator that we were allowed to use on any business development. We were not allowed to pay salaries or rent out of it. It had to be used to push your project further. So I recall I was like, now I need to get designs. I need a brand. I need posters. I need brochures. I need a website. I need all of this design work done. And the very, very first quote I got, I went running to my business mentor coach, and I was like, okay, here's the invoice, pay it please so I can get started. And she was like, no, you need 3 quotes. I'm like, 3 quotes? She says, yeah, you must always get 3 quotes, always check. And what wise counsel and accountability and mentorship does for you is it slows you down a bit, which is a good thing, because the more you plan, the more you think things through, the less hasty you are about things, the better the outcome. And being accountable to somebody is always good. It's never good to be not accountable. So even myself, even as the CEO of a company, I'm accountable to a board. I answer to a board, and it's a very, very good discipline to have. It's there for your protection. It protects you. It protects the consumer. It protects people's money. It just means better sustainability. So I would absolutely advocate incubation. And also, you know, when you're starting out and you're alone, it's a lonely journey. It's incredibly lonely. And that alone will make some people give up. And when you're in an incubator and you're around other entrepreneurs and you see other people also have challenges, also struggle with similar things that you are, you've got a group of staff and people in the incubator that are for you, that have your back, that encourage you when you're having a tough time or you've had a disappointment. You know, that kind of support is invaluable. It really is the wind beneath your wings to keep going, especially in hard times or when you hit those snags or you hit those obstacles.
That's such beautiful advice. Thank you. And I know that a lot of people watching would like to access money in some way or another. And you say you've done so in many different ways. What are the keys to getting funding, getting grants, getting investors to buy into your business?
That's a great question, Melanie. That's a great question. And often we need many more things other than money. Money is an enabler, and one can't do much without money. But I find if you've got, firstly, good innovation, you need to set yourself apart. There's got to be something innovative, different, creative. You can be in an industry that is swamped. You could be in an industry that is full of competitive products or services, but you could just have one edge that sets you apart, and it'll make people stand up and give you attention. You cannot just be another Me Too and say, well, I just want to start a business, and you know, my passion is hairdressing or accounting or whatever it is, so I'm just going to, you know, go for that. And it's like, well, how are you different? How are you going to stand out amongst the crowd? So when investors are looking for places to put their money, and let me tell you, there's lots of money out there. There's more money than there are good projects. I've definitely seen that and heard that as I've been around. Because innovation, if I take my 20-year journey, has been arduous and difficult and fraught with obstacles and pain and trials, and very few people will go the journey. Very few people will persevere or even take on such a difficult project. But at the end of the day, when you're sitting with something unique, like we've got a globally unique manufacturing process, globally unique technology, then it's quite easy to find investors or partners or players or customers. Anybody that invests in your business, your staff invest in your business by coming to work for you, your investors invest in you by putting money, your customers invest in you. You need to see everybody as an investor in you. And you need to prove that, number one, you've got something that is unique and set apart and differentiated one way or another. And secondly, I always sing the same song to entrepreneurs, and they hate me for it, especially when you're starting out, is that in the beginning, it's going to be awful. You're going to spend 80% of your time on admin and systems and dotting I's and crossing T's. If you aren't spending your time on that, your business is not going to last. And that's the stuff that inspires, what do you call it, faith in you. And it inspires credibility, because people want to put their money and back jockeys that they know are going to win. And they back the jockey more than they back the product. And they need to see that you do business with integrity, that you have got your systems in place, that you have got a proper accounting system, that you have registered a proper company, you've got your VAT number, your books are clean, you know, you have got monthly management accounts, you actually do understand your numbers. Those are the things that inspire confidence in investors.
That's very useful advice. Thank you, Kerryne.
Pleasure.
Now, I know more about your business than many people watching might, and you have successfully scaled your business and made it an international brand. How did you manage all of that?
Oh, thanks, Melanie. And yeah, it's we went global quite quickly, which enabled us to learn. I also made huge amounts of mistakes. But that's what's amazing, is that the journey has allowed me to learn. And I just give thanks to God that I've been able to learn and still survive. Because so often we as entrepreneurs, we learn, but then we make such big mistakes and we learn out of them, but it actually cripples our business. So I suppose where I feel grateful is for the fact that I've been able to learn and still survive and grow. Which is exciting. But back to that same point about differentiating yourself. You know, I say to a lot of entrepreneurs who've got a business, you need to act as if you are that listed company now. So when you're developing packaging and you're developing a website and you're developing business plans or a brochure, I mean, it's been quite funny over the years as people met us over the years and, you know, saw our operations and that when we were small and still grow. They were like, oh, what? is this who you are? We thought you were in this monstrosity of a corporate park and that you own, blocks of offices, and by no means that was the case. So just by the professionalism with which we acted, gave service and developed our packaging and our materials. So I remember helping or talking to some of the other entrepreneurs, for example, in the incubator. And I remember there was a guy who had products and he was on the flea markets and he was printing his labels off a computer. And I said, no, don't do that. You've got the money from the incubator, put it in the marketing materials, develop some beautiful bottles and labels and packaging, and go to the health shops with your products, because it's going to be very hard to go from flea market labels up to kind of, it's easier to come down, but it's hard to go up, especially in the consumer's mind. So you don't want to go too cheap or too tacky in the beginning, because then to try and convince people you're professional afterwards is difficult. So having something unique, having beautiful packaging, beautiful branding, doing everything professionally, everything we did. So a lot of the international distributors who knew we were a small company said that they were prepared to deal with us because our service was so good. They said, man, they don't even get that kind of service from the multinationals. So you can, as a small business or an entrepreneur, you can compete with service. That alone can open doors for you. We would respond to emails immediately. We had all our ducks in a row. If a distributor of ours needed pictures or needed a brochure or needed the right paperwork or needed all the approvals on our product to register the product in their country, we had everything. I mean, we put so much in place so that, we could run off solid and good and strong foundations. So the world is always looking for innovation. They're always looking for interesting new things. And even if your innovation isn't that interesting, maybe it's another skincare range that's just got a different formulation, but you've got some really innovative packaging or really sexy designs, or something novel or something fun or playful or just creative about it. You can get your foot in the door, but you cannot, in today's day and age, compete if you don't have some of those things in place. It's just too hard.
Now, you've had your product now for 20 years. Has a direct competitor come into the market yet who's tried to copy what you do?
So we've been trading now for 13, good 10 years out of the 20 years has been development, or should I say, probably we've had our focus on development for 15 years, because you're always scaling up and engineering new ways to do things. But what happens often with a new innovation is that you often premature, you're too early to market. And this is where a lot of entrepreneurs or innovators lose it. There's a saying that says that second to market are the ones that win, because the first to market are breaking in, you educating the market. I mean, I remember with these, and ours are like a translucent green color, and people were like, oh my word, I'm going to look like an alien. What do I do with these? How do I put them on my eyes? And you were educating the market, and you're first in, and it's exhausting, and you're spending all your money, and you're struggling to get traction. And then what happens is now the market is ready for an innovation like yours, but you as an entrepreneur, you've run out of resources, and you've run out of energy, and you're tired, and you're fed up, and you've had it, and you kind of pack it in just before you're going to make it. And I decided, no, I'm not going to be one of those. I'll go down in flames, but I'm not going to let someone else come and steal my thunder. And I remember the first time I started to see competitors starting to come into the market, I got such a big fright. I was like, oh, no, we've been the only ones forever. But the good news is competition is so good. It's so valuable. It grows the category. So I don't know if you've seen like where the car dealerships are. All the car dealerships will be together. Then they work. In a shopping mall, in the food court, they put all the food together. There's a reason, because the more of you there are, it seems to be the more demand there is. You create more demand, and there's space in the sun for everybody. There really is. Your flavor of what you do is different to the flavor of what I do, is different to the flavor of what somebody else does. So there's more than enough room in the sun to play and for everybody to have a go. And it's really now, Melanie, I promise you, it's really now in the last year only that our category is finally taking off. I mean, I remember years back, 2010, when we spoke to retailers, they were like, no, we don't have a category for you. We don't know where to put you. We don't know what to do with you. Now we're about to go into Clicks, for example, and they have a designated category for masks. And in their top 100 stores, they've actually got what's called a mask bar. So much so they've actually like specializing a whole beautiful merchandising area for beauty masks. And because they're trying to grow their category, they're now looking at our stuff going, oh, wow, you've got amazing stuff in the category. So yes, there are your kind of Chinese made or Korean made, or, you know, other masks that are made of like a wet wipe type material, and they're different formulations, and they're in their sachets. There's nobody in the market that has a technology like ours, and packaging like ours, and branding like ours, and formulations like ours. So even though there's lots of competition that's come into the market now the last few years, loads internationally, what it's meant is that it's grown the category. They've helped educate the customer, and customers now love masks. There are people that are adding it into their weekly and daily regimes, whereas 5-10 years ago, people weren't even using anything like that. So it's very exciting that the category's grown. And now what happens is you get to compete against your own merit. So we know that consumers will love our stuff more than anything else. They might pick somebody else's packaging up first time because it looks funky, or maybe they like bright orange and ours is green. And then they'll try it and they'll test it and think, oh, I'm a bit disappointed. And then, you know, but they're still looking for a good mark. And then they try ours and they go, oh, wow, okay, found the one I like. So everybody can compete. There's room for everybody. And it's very exciting when competitors do come into the marketplace. And it's very exciting when they help build the category, because now we get to put, after being a one product company for so many years, we get to put a whole range, 9 SKUs or 9 products, you know, on shelf, which means we get decent visibility. We don't get lost with just one product stuck next to the shampoos or the tampons. We've ended up in the strangest places on a shelf where somebody said, okay, let's give it a go, but we don't really know where to put you.
I can't somehow see how people who are shopping for tampons are going to buy their Eyeslices next door to that.
Well, listen, if it's that time of the month and you've had such a horrible cry and you're feeling miserable and you're feeling like you look terrible and it's been emotional, man, there's nothing better than those Eyeslices.
Okay, I can maybe see how they got there.
No, but no, it's not ideal. You want to be merchandised with all the other masks. You want to be merchandised with all the other skincare. Yes. You know, it definitely works a lot better.
Yes. Now, having a product that's exporting, how has COVID-19 affected you?
So very interestingly, it's affected one industry. So we've been predominantly salon and spa focused with our innovation and our products. And that whole industry the bottom has fallen out of it. It's been frightening. Literally, that entire pipeline has run dry. It literally just came to a grinding halt. And I think a lot of those guys are just trying to find their feet again. But we started to kind of, you got to look at the writing on the wall in your journey. You cannot get stuck in the same way of doing things forever. You need to keep looking at the industry, look at the market, look at where the world's going, look at what's working. What might have worked in previous seasons for you might not work moving forward, and you cannot just keep hacking at it. So about 2 years ago, we started to relook at our strategy. We had appointed loads of the wrong distributors and gone into too many markets. We've gone very wide very quickly. We were everywhere from Iceland to the Middle East, and managing your brand, managing those relationships, drilling deep into those markets and getting proper market share traction we just weren't doing. And I promise you, I was exhausted. I was burnt out. I was not having fun anymore. I wasn't really seeing the business going where I had envisioned it. And I just decided to take a complete step back. And I'm glad I did that, because I looked at the business, I unpacked, I closed down a multitude of markets. I said, no, we want to be very successful, we want to drill deep into a couple of markets and then expand again from there, having learned what we learned and doing it differently to what we did in the past. So we started to work on our online strategy, and we started to work on the retail, kind of more the mass market, but particularly with digital in mind. Not even so much retail, and now the retailers are kind of knocking on our door again. But I'm glad we did that, because we started to re-engineer for a completely different direction. And had we not done that, we could have been in trouble. What's been very exciting is that we even opened up some new markets. We opened up a new market in the Middle East, Qatar, with they on an app. It's a very, very high-end luxury app. So it was in line with our digital strategy. And we found out not so long ago, a couple of weeks back, that the Emir of Qatar, he's the bigwig, his sister bought some Eyeslices off this very high-end app and posted on her Instagram about Eyeslices and everything, which was very, very exciting. So we now starting to, and we also found new partners in Spain for the whole of like Europe. So we've been grafting in lockdown. We did not stop for 1 minute. We pretended in our minds that nothing had changed, and we were going to continue to go with the strategy that we'd identified. And we took the time and the lack of distractions to focus and to get all our developments and all of the rebranding, revamping, back end of the online, our whole strategy developed, and it's paying off now. Which is exciting. So we're growing, we're opening up new markets, new channels, and loving the journey. So I hope everybody out there doesn't hate me for that, but
you just don't stop. Your energy is incredible. Your energy is incredible. So I noticed that we are running out of time. You have filled our time together with so many incredible insights and so much inspiration for those who are watching. Thank you for your generosity. I appreciate it so much. And where can people find you online if they want to get hold of you?
So we have a Facebook page, Eyeslices SA, because loads of my distributors registered other handles. And then also on Instagram, Eyeslices SA, and on Facebook, I'm Kerryne Krause-Neufeldt, and online, eyeslices.com. That's our web page, and it has got geolocation, so wherever anybody is in the world, they would get the information in their kind of currency. But eyeslices.com is probably the easiest and best place to get some more information. And if you Google my name, or you Google Eyeslices, you'll see lots on the story. So if you want some more of the pain and the story and the development issues, there's been lots over the years, I think, on YouTube and that, more on the story.
Okay, that's awesome. Thank you so much for your time and your generosity. It was amazing speaking to you again.
Yeah, lovely seeing you, Melanie. Well done. And thanks for inspiring entrepreneurs out there. Well done.
Oh, it's my pleasure.